feels better.
That feels good?
Perfect. Thanks.
Good.
Your audio's good.
Sorry, man. We came in hot.
I really want to talk about really quickly before we get into it.
Dude, the music video for that song's so tough. They're here. Let's go. Let's get fired. All right, new episode of the pod. We got a huge guest today.
Massive.
Tiff in the house. So welcome to the YTH Nation pod.
Wait, it's actually going?
Yeah, we're just ripping it.
Yeah, it's super chill. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. You know how to use a mic. You're a pro.
How are you feeling?
A few times.
You feel
I
good?
feel great.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on.
I'm so excited.
Yeah,
We're
it's
so
gonna be
stoked.
super fun.
It's gonna be so good. I'm so excited to watch Tori try to open this door right now.
Oh, why are
Classic.
these doors like 100 pounds?
They
I
are
have no
literally
clue.
like 1,000 pounds.
Like put your whole body.
Guys,
weight.
we're in like
body weight.
just for
into it.
context, we're in the studio right now, and so the doors are like mad heavy in like pretty much every studio.
So you guys can't see what just happened, but Tori just came barging in, smoked
we get someone
our
on the
wide
vlog
shot
cam?
camera.
Smoked it.
Tori, sit down. The podcast is going.
Tori, did you know we've already started? You're late.
Okay, all right. So normally we start off with a game. So
Okay.
it's called If Worship Leaders Weren't Worship Leaders.
Oh.
So we're gonna give you 3 people, and you just gotta
Oh.
like rapid fire like what job they would have if they
I love
weren't a
this.
worship leader. All right,
Okay.
first person is Chris.
Oh. Well, he's a hard one, honestly.
Yeah, I know.
What would Chris do other than
He's
lead
only
worship?
been doing it for like 17 years.
I know. I
you
can't even picture him as anything else.
You gotta choose your words wisely here. You know.
That's true.
You
That's
gotta-
true. What? What do you think?
I was gonna say, I feel like he could have been like a teacher.
That
I
is
could see
such a substitute teacher.
Oh, a substitute teacher.
No, I meant like a full teacher, but also
Like a full-blown
substitute.
Is he like
teacher.
the cool substitute? or,
Oh, he's
like-
very cool.
He's like
Oh
the
yeah,
chill
he's the
substitute.
teacher
Yeah.
that everybody loves.
Yeah.
But like he also
Like I can't wait to be in
Like, he
Mr.
can
Brown's
snap.
class.
They're not gonna watch a movie that day.
Right.
Like he's gonna go
He's gonna
through
go.
He's
the-
gonna make you do the
Yeah.
work.
He's gonna make you do the work.
Yeah.
But he's gonna be fun and
Right.
cool and
Yeah.
Right.
wear a cool outfit. Be
He kind of
like,
lets you
so cool.
talk in class one. All right, next one is Brooke Lidgerwood.
Oh. Okay. I don't know her that well, but her vibe would give like a architect.
Okay.
She
Oh,
would go
wow.
in
I
the
can see it.
spots and be like,
Interesting.
I want it to look like this and kind of stylize
Dang.
architecture stuff.
Dude, low key, I feel like a lot of the like people on the pod answer like something to do with like houses for like
Right.
like
Yeah,
any like female like
Worship-
Yeah.
like if they're not like a worship leader, they'd just be like a
Interior
architect or,
designer
like
or something.
Yeah.
like
He's got the
freaking
eye for the stuff, you know.
what did Tori say on that one pod? House tour guide.
House tour
Yes.
guide. Who is that
Yes,
for?
like remember Emma Chamberlain? She could
Oh,
be like
yeah.
a house tourer.
Wait, you know she literally just toured her own house.
I know, and she did such a great job that I think she should tour everybody's house.
Wow.
Is that why you said that? That's so funny.
All right, number 3 we got B Lake. Brandon.
Oh, okay. Maybe like motorcycle.
That's money. That's money.
A
He
motorcycle
is
guy.
a motorcycle or
That's
Honestly,
a motorcycle.
Brandon
maybe
Lake.
like a motorcycle.
Brandon
like a
Lake runs
Transformer.
the Christian
Like a
biker
05
gang
Honda.
out of South Carolina, and they do
Oh.
like trips down the like
I don't
eastern
even know
seaboard.
if he has a
He's in a
motorcycle.
biker gang?
He's like
Yeah, but he
assuming
leads. It's like the Christian biker gang.
Oh, he's in a biker gang?
yeah, for
That
sure.
is legendary.
No, he's not actually in a biker
Oh,
gang.
you're
She's
just
saying that.
trolling.
No, that's what he would be doing if
I guess
he
it's
wasn't
just
a
that
worship
believable
leader.
that
Right.
I could like see it.
Yeah, that's
like a
why
Christian
I thought
biker
of
gang.
motorcycles in my head, but I'm like,
Yeah.
does he even
Right.
have or
Right.
ride?
That's crazy. So, by the time people are watching this, your first single is going to be out,
It's
which
so
is
crazy.
nuts. How do you feel?
I feel so much gratitude. Like I cannot believe that I had this opportunity to just like write and create and to be able to release it. Like I'm filled with gratitude.
Yeah.
Of course, all the emotions, like there's excitement, there's nerves, there's hopefully people like it. Like all of those things are in there. But for the most part, I'm just like so grateful.
So, what was like the inspiration behind the single, like writing it and whatnot?
Well, we wrote it at a rhythm camp. I don't know if you remember that.
I think I was
Yeah.
there for
No
that.
way.
Yeah.
I think
So-
I like walked in and you like played us the song when we like first walked in,
Wait,
which is
really?
like legend.
For
I
sure.
like
Wait, I don't even
vividly
actually
remember
know
that.
which one you're dropping first.
So
It's
it's
the
a
Hidden
single
Here.
called Hidden Here.
Okay.
And the whole project is called
called
Hidden
Hidden
Here. But we wrote it like at a rhythm camp and we didn't really choose to do anything with it. So we kind of revisited it, rewrote it, revamped it. And just the whole heart is about like being hidden in the shadow of the Almighty. The inspo that comes from Psalm 91. It's kind of been like a life scripture my whole life. And so I don't know, like in a culture that everything needs to be seen, everything needs to be known. The moment you do it, the moment you post it, like everything is seen.
Right.
I just find such like an immeasurable value in being hidden in the shadow and feeling like that is what sustains us in life. And so that's kind of the inspo behind that one.
What would you
I'm
say
excited.
is the inspo behind like the full album? Because I believe your full album is called
Hidden Here.
Yay!
Wait,
Yeah.
where did that name come
So
from?
same inspo.
Actually, Tori is the one. Did you know that? My sister Tori. She's the one that.
That's why I'm on. That's why I'm on the pod
Yeah.
today.
It's on the
We
thing. It's
wanted you
like
to answer
parentheses.
Yeah.
the wrong so
I'm like,
bad.
I just thought of it myself one day. No, we were chatting through and I was just struggling to know like what thought or title encapsulates kind of this whole journey, the whole project. And you said, well, what if you call it Hidden Here? Because that's such a value of mine. Like, I love the thought of like, I don't know, a little backstory is like, I met the Lord like at the altar at my parents' church. Like, those were the moments that absolutely transformed and changed my life, was just like being at the altar. It didn't matter what the altar call was. I just was there because I was so hungry to like experience and know God. And so the idea of like being hidden here is kind of encapsulating like those moments of like hidden in his presence, hidden at the altar. And a lot of the songs, like they kind of hint on those kind of topics and themes. And yeah.
Wow.
That's fire.
That's so
And
cool.
actually, this is kind of a little fun fact, but from the time that we were little, obviously, like Tiff has been singing forever. And so this is the first album that's like actually coming out. We want to talk about that in a second. But Tiff has a mixtape album that somebody recorded. Tony Archuleta, if you're watching this podcast, you were
my
the very
gosh.
first one to discover Tiffany, because he told Tiff, hey, just play at the keyboard. I'm going to record through the little like Korg piano or something
Yeah.
like that at our home church. And there's a little album of all of these like covers and a couple little spontaneous songs that Tiff did.
Wait, is it like
back
on
in,
the
like-
internet?
No,
No, it's literally a mixtape.
It better
CD.
not ever
It's just
be.
on
a
like a
CD?
CD.
It's a CD. Like they
Like
gotta
they,
leak
they
that.
put my
songs
senior
onto-
photo on the
On the
cover of
CD?
it. I'm not kidding. It's really,
Oh.
it's really
It's so
embarrassing.
sweet though.
We have to hear that.
I know, right?
Even
Honestly, I need to go
offline-
back and
offline,
find it.
I would love to hear
I'm
that.
gonna find it for you.
So this is my second album.
The
is what
second
she's trying to
album?
say.
This is not
Her
her debut
sophomore
album,
album.
Just
actually.
kidding.
That's so
You
funny.
go to SoundCloud right
Yeah,
now.
That's right.
It's up.
So like being the first solo artist to like actually come out with music on the EW label, how does that feel? And like how did that come about to like have that idea to do that?
Well, it's crazy. Like I can't. Again, it's a gratitude. It's like I can't believe I get to do this. But I guess like a teeny bit of the backstory is I never had it in my heart to do anything solo, to do my own stuff. I've just like so enjoyed being part of a team, being like one member. Like that's just what I've always loved, and never really thought I had what it took to do my own stuff, to write my own things. And to be honest, like I kind of felt like I was in a season of like creative drought. Like every time I would sit at my piano, I would just be like so uninspired by anything that was coming out of my mouth. Like to the point where I was just like, oh, am I even good at this? You know, like that's the season I was in. And I can remember like almost like something switched, and I kind of came into this season almost like this invitation from the Lord where there was just like download my time with him. You know, we go through seasons of you spend time with the Lord, you read your Bible, and sometimes you're getting a lot out of it, and sometimes you're
Right.
like, well, I'm showing up, Lord.
Right.
I was in that season, and then it was like download from the Lord. Filled my journals, was the words were coming off the pages, like truly. Sit at my piano and felt like just writing just felt like there was an ease, and just felt like the Lord just started to invite me into this process of like, there's some things that feel very important to him that I almost felt like he like handed me to like talk about and
Wow.
write about. And so with so much honor and gratitude to this house, to our pastor, to Chris, and to everybody that kind of gave me the keys to do it, like just felt like I was able to just, I don't know, spend time right on the things that the Lord was putting on my heart. And that's a little bit of the backstory.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Do you have more plans to like continue to do music and stuff?
Not a single one.
Really?
Like I feel like this is like my little puzzle piece
Yeah.
in this giant masterpiece. And I'm just like, here's my little part. And whatever the Lord wants to do, if down the road there's another thing he would impress upon my heart, like of course that maybe would be a thing, but I have zero plans to, there's no strategy in
Yeah,
it for me. I'm
right.
like, I felt like this is something the Lord gave me to do, and I'm gonna do it. And that's the next step, and that's it.
What if you get like #1 Billboard album? Will you break off solo?
Oh my gosh. Asking me on the pod. I
feel like you should.
You said I feel like you should. No, I have no idea. I'm just enjoying this season, and again, to be a part of a team that's just so like encouraging to like other people's gifts and to say like, hey, we believe in you. Like, that's a humbling feeling to have anyone else believe in you.
Right.
I don't know. I've been thinking about that aspect of like, never underestimate the power of your own encouragement. Because I'm like, a single encouraging word from someone else can literally pick you up and be like, oh, like I was in a creative drought and someone believes in me.
For sure.
Who was like the first like big person that like you feel like believed in you that like helped you like?
I mean, maybe this is an easy answer, but my parents were so encouraging. Like our whole lives, like with anything that we felt like we wanted to do, like they were just like so encouraging. Try it. Like you can't fail, you know? So parents for sure. Sweet mate, my husband.
Oh, God.
So
we're gonna talk.
We got
about him later.
We got some questions about him coming up.
But you know what?
I mean,
he was
what
What a Don.
of course, we're married. We live together. Of course, he would know the process I was in with the Lord of like starting to write and not really having plans for any of the songs. He was the only other person that knew that process, and he bought me like recording equipment, a mic, and like
no
a little
way.
what do you call it? You probably know the little
Like
interface.
interface?
Yeah, an interface to like start recording. And that's
Oh
before we had
my.
anything here of like we were doing it. He just believed in
That's
me.
fire.
No way.
And I'm already
What a
Crying.
legend.
Don't cry yet. Well,
Wait,
and
can
I
we
know-
go get him?
yeah,
where's
he's out
Nate?
there. Bring him in.
Well, and I know Elevation has played such a big role in your story too when it
Yes.
comes to songwriting.
Yes.
And so maybe can you walk us through a little bit of like how did you get started with Elevation? Give us a little bit of that story, that journey.
Okay, some people might not know, but I found Elevation through an internship.
That's
I was in
I did not know
college.
that.
Yes,
Wow.
I was in college and needed an internship to graduate. Like at the time, my college roommate was like, have you heard of Elevation? They do internships. Of course, I'd heard of Pastor Steven, wonderful messages. I knew a few of the songs. And that was kind of
Give
my
me faith.
extent. Yeah, like give me faith. Like
OG.
I knew a
Mark.
few of them and it was so like, it just felt like such a coincidence, like almost like I accidentally stumbled upon this. But of course, the Lord is so sovereign and divine. And looking back, you can see his hand through all of it. But in the moment, you're like, yeah, I need an internship to graduate.
Right.
And I heard about Elevation, signed up, ended up getting it, moved to Charlotte for a summer. And I was like a little worship intern and I was just hungry to learn. Like,
Were you at a specific campus?
I was kind of more central, but I think I spent a lot of time at the Lake Norman campus.
Okay.
So Alex Duncan was my supervisor, fun fact.
Whoa,
And
that's
Shout out to Alex.
yeah, it was so
Shout
crazy.
out
And anyway,
Alex.
I did the internship and I felt like the Lord really like burdened my heart for like the mission of this house was like, I was so bought into what this church was about, like just so unapologetically reaching people for the Lord, like active, like we're doing things. It's like, I don't know. I just loved it. And little did I know the Lord would have me be here. I just thought I learned a lot in these 3 months. I ended up going back to college, graduated from college. And then, of course, I'm a senior and I'm like, oh, no job offers. Like, what am I doing with my life? And I'm trying to make this a long story short. Randomly stumbled upon a worship night that was happening in Florida. Me and Tori went together.
Yep.
And it was put on by Elevation. Like, randomly went and stumbled upon it.
It was
way.
like 2.5 hours away.
Yeah, and we just were like at the pool in college in Florida, and we're like, should we go? Like, I kind of felt like we were supposed
College
to go.
in Florida, shout out also.
The Lord is so cool how he works. Like, it's always been the most random things
Right.
that the Lord is so specific about. The moment my heart like leaped within me, I was like, we're supposed to go to this. We pick up that second, we drive to that worship night, and literally like randomly saw someone I knew in my internship. And the next morning kind of got a text that was like, you should come be an apprentice here. So
No
anyway, the
way.
journey's kind of long. I was an intern, then I did an apprenticeship program here, and then God saw fit for me to be on staff, and I was at the Uptown campus for 3 years.
Damn, shout out
That's the
Uptown.
story in a nutshell. But like when it comes to being involved with Elevation Worship and writing, that's a whole nother story. So
Tell it.
Yeah.
That's our second half of the question
Right,
because we need to know there's this infamous Elevation story
Right.
about a lunch with Pastor Steven.
Yeah.
So tell us all the details.
yeah. So writing had always been a thing that I felt drawn to. Like I just, since I was little, would be writing songs. I always felt like I loved doing it. Nothing good. Like absolutely nothing good. In college,
That mixtape, we gotta hear that mixtape.
oh gosh, no, never, literally never. In college, like our school would put on albums to be very student-led, student-written, and so I would write for that. And none of my songs ever got used, like ever. And I just felt like I was the worst writer in the world. And to the point where I kind of gave up on writing. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just called to be a worship leader. Writing isn't my thing. Apparently, there's no fruit that comes from my writing. Nobody likes my songs. Like, I'm not a writer. Damn. So I had this whole moment that I can go vividly back to in my head where I'm kneeling on my dorm room floor, wrestling this thing out with the Lord. And the Lord like kindly slaps me in the face as he does. And he says, who are you to say at the age of 20 what I've given you, what gifts you have? Like, I've given you gifts and they're irrevocable. So you put your head down and you just work and you just be disciplined. You cultivate the gifts I've given you. So fast forward, now I'm here at Elevation. I'm on staff. I've been on staff for a little while. I'd been writing. I'd been working with like random band members on the team and like producing songs, all those things. And randomly got invited to go to a lunch with Pastor Steven. And it was just kind of like a Q&A, chill, hang vibe. And so I was so nervous and I raised my little hand to ask a question. And I said something along the lines of like, what do you do when you feel like God's called you to do something, but there's zero, I don't know, belief or there's zero evidence that you're good at it, you know? Right. And of course, pastor's like, well, what are you actually talking about? Like, be more specific. And I was like, oh crap. So I expressed like, I feel like I have a call to write songs, but I've never felt like I'm good at it. And so he said, well, do you have a song that you've written that you could sing? Said,
at the lunch?
At the lunch.
Acapella?
Like, 10 out of 10 do not recommend this happening to you. It is terrifying.
My.
And so ended up singing a song I'd written. I was like, I literally stood in this meeting and sang a song I wrote a cappella. And I would like, it was so blurred out. I don't remember it because it was so embarrassing, so awkward. But it really was this like, you don't know what God's doing in the moment. And like, I think a few weeks later, I got invited to come write with the team. And I was like, what?
No way.
Like the song was not good. You're not going to hear that song. But like,
we need to hear that song.
I think it just goes to show like, I don't know, like when God's called you to do something, like just do it. And maybe if the Lord ever sees fit, in the moment you're asked to like, hey, do you have a song you can sing? Like you're going to have something to sing.
Right.
And I think it's just the kindness of God that like helps you along the way to like not give up on what he's called you to.
Right.
So
I think you said something so really powerful at the beginning of when you started sharing this story, and you literally said at the age of 20, you're wrestling this out of like, okay, I'm not a good songwriter. Nothing I'm writing is being used. So obviously this must not be what's for me. And I love what you said, that line that like the Lord kind of spoke to your heart of like, who are you at 20 years old to say that you will never do this? Because obviously God isn't going to do that. And so that's my encouragement also for anybody listening to this podcast. You might be 15, 16, 18, 27, 33, and you might be like, you know what? I'm not seeing any fruit because of something that I feel like really drawn to. Don't give up. Who are you to say at the age of 16 that God isn't going to use this in my life? Yes. Right. Maybe just continue that same thing. Put your head down. Keep writing. Keep speaking. Keep doing what you feel God called you to do. I think that is one of the most powerful things that you just said. And it also reminds you of the Elevation song, who am I to deny what the Lord can do?
Literally, who am I? Like, to the God of the universe that's here before our existence and here after we're long gone. Like, who are we to determine what he can do? And
right. That's so cool. And something that I've actually been just really kind of sitting with is the whole concept that Pastor Steven introduced the other day in one of his sermons, the steadily and then subtly.
Oh, yeah. My goodness.
And I think that's so cool that you talked about, you know, you were steadily writing, you were like steadily trying to press in and like do these things, and like got to a point where you were like, man, I feel like none of this has any fruit or it's not going anywhere. But I believe that like that steady is what got you ready for that suddenly of like
the steady got you ready.
Right.
That's
the
good.
steady got you ready.
That's great.
Clip that. Just kidding. No, but I believe like if you wouldn't have stayed, you know, consistent and faithful to what you felt like God was putting on your heart, and he would have asked you to stand up and sing something and you wouldn't have had anything.
That's so true.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think that's such a cool thing.
What would you say to like a kid out there who's like maybe struggling with that? Like they feel like they've been like putting in the work, but they don't know if like they're gonna like pop off or whatever.
Right. Well, that also, I think we all have to just settle within ourselves. Like God's going to use who he wants, when he wants, how he wants to. And that's probably something that was said here. But like having the motive from the very start, being so open-handed and pure, like I had to wrestle within myself, like, okay, God, can I do this with zero promise that you'll ever do anything with it? Like, is that still worth it enough to do it? If you've given me a gift, like, I don't know, you get a gift for Christmas, you put it on a shelf and you never use it. It's like, I don't know, like, to me, I'm like, do it anyway, like, use it and develop it. And it might not ever be known or seen. Like, there's tons of songs I've written that will never be heard. And like, does that make this song useless? Or did it fill the halls of heaven with worship? Like, did God himself get glory from those moments of just like singing my heart out to him? So I don't know. I mean, it's a journey. I don't know if I have like a perfect answer for that.
I feel like that was a perfect answer.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
That's so beautiful. How old were you when you wrote your first song?
Ooh.
I don't know, 10? But it was
10,
horrible. It was horrible, like a horrible song. So that doesn't count.
I remember the first time that I thought to myself of like, oh, Tiff's actually like, she might be a writer. And I think you were in 8th grade. And a friend had one of her parents pass away, and Tiff sat down at the piano and wrote this beautiful song about just that season of life. It's so difficult. And I remember hearing that like from the living room or whatever, and hearing her sing this song over her friend and being like, oh, wait, there's something really special about just that. And you weren't doing it for any other reason than you just like, you had this song that you felt in your heart and you just sat down and sang it. It didn't go anywhere.
Dang,
but
so
anyways,
cool.
I do remember that moment of you were young, and thinking she's sitting at the piano by herself in a whole other room. Nobody else is around. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of special. There's something there.
So sweet.
All right, so we've been gassing you up, obviously because you're fire, but we got to, bring you down a little
Please.
bit. What do you have any memory of like a massive like worship leader fail
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've done everything wrong you can do.
No.
Yeah.
Think?
Oh, yeah. Wrong song in the wrong key.
Oh, yeah.
There was one youth night, might have been a youth X or rhythm night, but I literally dropped my mic into the pit of people and had to go off the stage and find it.
What?
Literally during a song. It was so bad. If I really think about it, it is the most terrifying thing because so much could go wrong. Sometimes I think of like, what if I just like sneeze right before I sing? Like,
sneeze is
I've never thought about that.
There's so much that can go wrong. That if you think about it,
new
my
fear
gosh.
unlocked. What if I sneeze?
Yo,
and then I think, do I need to swallow right before I sing? Like all these like normal human things, that, like they all can really get in the way.
Dude, do you guys? I just experienced this. I was at a wedding, and like I was talking to somebody that I hadn't seen in a while. Like one of those people you hadn't seen since like high school or whatever. And like mid combo, you know how you can like feel a sneeze coming? But like,
that is so
and
embarrassing.
your face is just like,
but yeah, but you can't
contorts.
sneeze
You're like
though.
this, you're like,
I hate it.
It just gets stuck, and then you're making this dumb face to this person you haven't seen in 8 years.
right.
Like,
and they're like, what's going on? You're like,
I'm like, I think I have to sneeze. I keep going like
just
this, like
sneeze.
nothing comes out. Dude, I couldn't, bro.
Oh, you like couldn't sneeze.
No, I couldn't sneeze, and I kept
felt
on
it
having to
coming.
like remove myself from the conversation.
That's actually so
to try
real.
and sneeze, and then I just couldn't.
That is actually the worst.
So being on stage, I had like,
or when you're driving and you sneeze, I'm literally like my
like
car.
God, I hope when I open my eyes, I'm not in the other lane.
Dude, when you're driving, you
Sneezing
sneeze
is
is the worst because then like, have you ever like sneezed and it's like actually like a lot of snot like on the steering wheel, bro?
What?
That happened to me once.
Wait,
it was
that
so
is-
bad. You've never had that happen?
No.
Like,
Maybe you were sick.
wait,
I was
do you,
sick.
Like,
I think
you
I had
don't,
like the
cover
flu,
your mouth
and
when
I
you
just
sneeze?
sneezed like everywhere, bro. And I had nothing to clean it up, and I tried to keep like
That's
driving
the
with
thing.
like snot
Sneezes are
everywhere.
very spastic. You can't
That's what I'm
control
saying,
it.
bro.
Yeah.
And like you don't want to
Sometimes
like,
I
I
feel
don't
like
know. You can't really like
sneezes.
use your arm when you're driving because you got to like have
Right.
10 and 2.
You
You
can't
know?
whip that thing like
10
right
and
here?
2
Yeah.
is so funny.
That was early on in your driving.
Okay,
days,
I have a
maybe.
question that like probably like no one else will care about, but I've always wondered.
Okay.
That just popped in my head. When you're like singing on the stage, is it like, all right, like I there's like two things that it could be, right? Are you just singing like normally, but you're just like cracked at singing, or do you have to like try it like harder? Like the average person, if they got up and sang, it would sound trash. But do you just have like a more cracked voice, or are you like singing in a different way?
Wait, define crack.
No,
for me
honestly,
really
I was
quick.
about to say. What's
Do you
crack?
know what I'm asking? Like, or like
Yeah.
like a good voice? Like, I don't know if it makes sense.
No,
what I'm
crack-
Like, are you
you're saying,
trying or is it
'cause-
natural?
Like, okay,
it's
okay,
a
okay.
natural, like,
Okay. Are you trying?
No,
to-
like I'm saying, like, all right, so like if JT gets up on stage right now and
Yeah.
starts singing,
I
he's
can
gonna
do a little
sound
number if you
trash. He's gonna
want,
sound
but-
terrible. But like if you get up on stage, you're gonna sound good. Are you doing something different, or do you just have like a more like just a better voice? Like,
Right.
are you just
Than
doing the
JT?
exact same thing
Yeah.
he would do, but
Are we
just like you
comparing
just
just
We're
right
gonna
here?
go with the
naturally
better
better at it?
voice.
Or is there like techniques that you have to
I mean,
use when you're like on
100%,
stage?
there's technique, there's things you can do to improve your
Okay.
voice. But I think at the end of the day, you probably have to be real with yourself and be like,
Right.
this is something I'm good at or not.
Right, right.
And hopefully you don't find that out on a
But
stage.
what's the like? Is it like 50-50, or is it like what's the
I
like
would know.
talent to like skill or like
Okay, like natural
strategy
gifting
ratio?
versus like I've worked hard
yeah
at this
when it
craft.
comes to like sounding
Right.
good like on the stage?
I mean, for me, I feel like I've always like understood pitch at least. Like that's
Yeah.
very important. So if you don't have that, I'm like, you can maybe work on that, but some people you're never gonna
Right,
have
right,
the
right.
ear for it. So I feel like it's probably like 60.
Okay.
60 natural and 40.
That's generous, bro. A lot, dude. Like a lot of
I
y'all, like
60-40
y'all don't
is
need to be
generous.
worship leaders, bro. Like,
That's
you
so
sound
true.
terrible. Like I'm just
I said
saying,
that's
like
so
to all the
true.
people, aspiring worship leaders out there,
No, no.
like, you might not need to be a worship leader, bro. Maybe you need to write some songs.
lessons.
It's real
Or
talk.
yeah, maybe,
real
I
talk.
don't know. Yeah.
Also, I do remember when we were really little and we were singing in all these different churches. Tiff, probably like 7, 8 years old, started like trying all these things, like
Oh,
with her
yeah.
voice and doing all these runs in our songs. So she'd be like, hey. And it probably sounded just like that, really terrible.
Right.
And so
She's like,
I remember
chill.
pulling Tiff aside after one of our songs, being like, stop doing that with your voice. You're
What?
ruining the song.
That's crazy.
She'd be like, stop doing that, like vibrato, because I was like
and now that's like
testing
your
it
whole
out.
like sauce. for
And
your
now
album.
I'm so sad. I'm like, I should have just been doing it with her. Maybe I would have been good.
Right.
Oh my God.
I was judged back in the day.
Dang.
That's hilarious.
So that
is
does
so
answer
funny.
your question. Did your family ever hate on you? Yes.
Tori was
Tori.
your number one op.
It's just like, stop. You sound
Unbelievable.
weird when you
Like,
do
you
that.
sound so bad.
I
So,
cannot
like,
picture you
joke's
saying
on
anything
me.
like that.
Give us like one line or like a lyric from a song that you wrote that no one's ever heard before.
Oh, no one's ever heard before.
Like your most fire unreleased bar. Or maybe
Should
it could
it
be
be
from the new album.
From the new album? Okay.
Because no one's heard it yet.
It's true.
Or
no
that
one's
you
heard
can't
it
use
yet.
the single though. Because
Okay.
everyone will have heard that.
All right.
Everyone.
Everyone in the world, everyone who watches this podcast will have
That's
heard
right.
that. Link
I
in the
mean-
description.
I like, it's a pre-chorus to a song called Obey, which I really like. It says, keep me tender and tethered to your decrees. Let my love be a covenant that I keep. I really like that. And
That's
then
fire.
That's a bar.
the second one is, be the light and the lamp that my feet follow. Keep the eyes of my heart on the narrow road.
fire.
I like those things. So
Yeah, I love that verse. That's a
That's
legendary
great.
verse. So that's a, yeah,
I
that's
think
a
I
sick
wrote that
one.
on your graduation card.
Yeah, you.
Lamp
imagine.
into my feet and light into my path.
Yes, exactly.
There's something that we're supposed to ask you about that we have no context to whatsoever because it's fun because we get to have your sister on here. So
Yeah.
she gets to give us all these little inside scoops,
Love.
that nobody knows. So we're supposed to ask you, can you give us the best way to make guacamole?
Oh my gosh. Who put you onto this? Her?
Yes.
This may or may not have been somebody else in our office too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Wait,
actually.
Bree, also throw this up on the screen when you're editing. We're
I-
gonna find the video.
I've never
This is
been
a new
able to
audience.
Not
live
enough.
this down. Literally never lived it down.
What is the story?
The story goes that I was enrolled in an online class. And it
An
was
online
it
speech
was an
class.
online speech class. So you had
Okay.
to put your speeches on YouTube, public, so your professor could grade you. Like, if they don't
On
have
a
a better
public
system,
YouTube channel?
literally, like, I have tried to get these videos down multiple times.
What?
No, you would
was-
send it to your professor and they'd put it on YouTube. So it's not your account, right?
Somehow,
Somehow.
I can't get back on my college account, and I have never lived this down. I'm sad to even say it because someone's going to Google it and find it. There's a video of me
We're gonna
in my
link it
demonstration
No, we're going to
speech.
put it side by side on the podcast. That's
The
what I'm
video of
saying.
it is rolling right now of you making guacamole.
I'm so embarrassed. I'm so
But wait, did you
embarrassed.
actually make guacamole or was it just
yeah.
like a speech about making guacamole?
It was like a demonstration speech. Like, I'm going to tell you how.
You college, you'll know. You'll have to do
But you
it.
have to make
can't wait for your
guacamole for a speech class?
No,
Like,
that's
they
just
were
what
like-
she chose.
You have to
That's what I
demonstrate
chose.
something.
They're like,
Interesting.
demonstrate something for 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. That
And
makes
talk about it. So I'm like, well, I can make guacamole.
Okay.
So I'm over here cutting the avocado.
So what's the recipe?
Avocado. Watch the video.
Okay, bet.
It's in the link.
Okay, man.
It's in the link. Look in
I'm
the
so
description.
embarrassed.
That video's gonna
my
blow up.
Gonna
my
blow up.
god.
You type in my name
I
to
can't believe
YouTube.
you can't get that taken down. Like, there's got to be some way.
There's got to be some way. And
Who
I've
was
spent
your
hours.
I mean, you went to SEU?
yeah.
I mean, buddy, you ran the school for 5 years.
No,
You can't
did I
get that
not
thing
reach out to you at
taken
one
down?
point? I swear I reached out to you at one point.
She just
Anyway.
like she saw the email, but she just like did it.
It's
That's what I'm saying. She's
we
your
can
biggest
find a way.
op.
We're
She
gonna
doesn't
find a
want
way.
it to be taken down.
The
Yeah.
Lord really does humble you in funny ways, though.
Right.
Because I'm like, I love that there's a video of me making guacamole that I cannot
That's
take
not the
down.
worst thing you could
Public
really
on
like, have a video of you
YouTube.
doing.
This goes a little bit in a different direction, but one of the core values of this pod comes straight from Psalm 119. And Psalm 119:9 says, "How can a young person stay on the path of purity? By living according to your word." So maybe could you speak to that? What does that look like? What does that mean? How can somebody stay on the path of purity? And what does it mean to live according to his word?
Dang. I
Oh,
like
right
that verse.
there.
How can a young person live on the path of purity? Living according to your word. I love that. Purity is so important. I would just start by saying, like, I love that that's a value of this because it's such a value in scripture of like living pure. Like the actual definition of purity is not mixed with any other substance, like something that is unmixed with anything else. So when I think about that, I'm like, how can you live in purity? That goes in every single aspect of life. Like,
Yeah.
how can my worship be pure? Is my worship to God mixed with my love of people's approval?
Wow.
Like, is my worship to God mixed with my desire to please whoever's there? Like, that's purity. Like, to have an unmixed presentation or like unmixed hearts, and unmixed motives. Or like I don't know, I stand for purity in like every area of life. Like, if it comes to dating, I stand for purity. And if it comes to marriage, I stand for purity. Like, I don't think purity is something you lose. Like, well, I'm going to be pure until I get married. Well, then what happens when you get married? Are you impure?
Right.
No.
Right.
Like, you keep purity. And I love the verse. Where is it? I don't know. But I think it's Psalm 101, actually. And it says, "I will not set before my eyes anything that's worthless." And that's how you keep purity too. Like, your gates, your eyes and your ears and all the things that you let in. Like, what am I setting before my eyes? Is it worth less than my purity? Is it worth less than my integrity? Like, that's a huge thing for me too. Another scripture I think of is in 2 Peter, where it says, "Through his divine power, you are given everything you need for life and godliness." Like, it's not impossible to stay on the path of purity. Like, the road is narrow and few will find it. That's what the Bible says. The road is narrow and few will find it. But I want to find it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to find it. Like, Jesus is coming back. Sorry to be all passionate and preachy, but like,
Get fired up.
genuinely, this is like the cry of my heart. Like, Jesus is coming back for a pure bride,
Yeah.
dressed in white. Like, he is coming back for a shining bride. That I think about a wedding day. Like, you're wearing this dress and you're walking down the aisle and you're locking eyes with your groom, and no one else in the room could possibly matter in that moment. And you're standing before people you love, your family, your friends, and you're standing before God, and you're vowing that I will love only you and I will forsake all others. That's what you're saying. So to live in purity, like, I am living only for God, forsaking all others.
Great.
Is my like conviction to live for God mixed with the convenience of living like everybody else?
Wow.
Is my obedience to God mixed with my desire? I'm getting a FaceTime call of all the times. You know, like, yeah, hey, I'm on the pod. I don't know, just that mixture. Like, purity is unmixed. The color white is unmixed with any other color. So I think I got off of the topic of how do you do it? I don't know. Like, you live it.
No, not at all.
According to his word. And his word is so specific on how we're supposed to live. Like, I'm serious about it. And some people might call me whatever, crazy or like too serious or whatever. But I'm like, it's a good thing to be serious about because
100%.
the word of God is very specific about how we live. And it's important to honor him. And anyway, there's room for mistakes. And I'm so far from doing it right. So by no means is that meant to be like, don't ever mess up. But it's just like, we have everything we need to live life in godliness through his spirit.
It's the most beautiful thing, even talking about that pure white, that unmixed. And what scripture teaches us is that the blood of the lamb makes us white as snow.
Yes.
So it's the beauty of like, yes, like we've all fallen short of the glory of God. Every person has lived a life of sin. And still God can take you with all of your mixed sin life and unmix you to a point of purity.
Yes.
Because of the sacrifice of his son.
Yes.
So
it's only through Jesus. It's only through Jesus that we can possibly ever live up to the standard. Like,
and the thing is that that's not just a once and done. Say there's like, you make a mistake, you fall into sin, or you make decisions of sin again, you can continuously come before the Father every single time, and he is faithful to his word.
Yes.
That he will, that grace is sufficient, and he will make you white as snow again.
And it's his kindness that leads us to repentance. Like, it's not shame to say you did wrong. Like, say you're sorry. It is his kindness that draws us in to even like have a desire. Like, even if you're watching, you're like, gosh, I don't even have a desire to, like, I don't have conviction. How do I, like, God can align his desires and make them yours. Like, you can ask God, give me your desires. Like, make my heart break for what yours does, beat for what yours does. And he will. Like, it's a scary prayer to pray, but like, the more I fall in love with Jesus, like, the less I'm able to carry, like, the less things I'm okay with, and not in like this legalistic way, but out of this like love of like, even not to go back to like a weird plug about one of the songs, but the song called Obey literally says like, I will obey not because I have to, but because I love you. And that's where it's like obedience birthed out of love is what it's about. It's not obligation. It's not religious. God's not a tyrant saying like, you have to live this way. It's like when you fall in love with him, like, you can't help but want to love what he loves and do what he says. Like, it's, I don't know. And I mean, there's practicals in living pure. Like, you can look at a dating life and you can set really clear boundaries. Like, Mate and I's season of dating, like, there was 100% boundaries we had to put in place. And
what were those boundaries? Just for like, for like the kids out there watching. I think it'd be helpful.
I mean, for us, it was like, well, let's not be alone in our house together, because that's just easy temptation.
Well, you didn't have a house together.
What?
You didn't.
Oh yeah, we didn't live together. Like, in one of our houses together. That's a good clarification.
You guys didn't only have one house together. You had multiple houses.
Yeah, like, and I think there's like, past a certain time of night, like, it's probably nothing good will come out of it.
Yeah. What time are we talking?
I mean, 10:30 is kind of like, it's probably not good to be alone in the house together after 10:30.
Yeah, right.
For you, that was a good standard.
That was a good standard, and you can kind of find what works for you.
I agree.
We kind of got advice from people and just kind of like took like, oh, this worked for you, and we really admire the way that you handled your relationship. There's also, like, I remember someone said this when I went to youth camp growing up, and they said, if the bathing suit touches it, you don't. And honestly, I know that's like, but that really stuck with me to be like, okay, there are certain things that are off limits when I'm not in covenant to you. I'm not in covenant. Like, God has not blessed this relationship. I have zero right to you. Like, you are not mine and I'm not yours.
Right.
You need to treat each other like that. Yeah. Anyway, that's just the real talk on the youth pod. But that's stuff I was told that honestly really helped in that season of life.
That's great. Speaking about Mate, I mean, We just gotta talk about Nate. For a
We
second.
love Nate.
He is incredible. We'll pop up a little photo of him right here. I wish we could get him in here for a second.
Text him.
I'll
He would
text
come.
Yeah.
I'll actually text him right now.
Yeah, text
tell
him.
him to come.
Anyway, he's so incredible. Obviously, he's an
He's the
absolute
best.
moose. He's jacked.
A moose.
I ask him about workout tips literally every day.
Aw.
But how did you guys meet? How did that all become a thing?
So I told you I did this apprenticeship program. Once I finished that 6 month and I got on staff, he kind of came through the next class of apprentices. And immediately I saw him and I was like, who is that? He's so cute. Turns out he had a girlfriend. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to think about him again.
Right.
Literally put him out of my brain because I knew he was in a relationship. But he always like caught my eye, and there was something about him. Like, he was a worshiper. He wasn't too cool for school. Standing there observing, he was in it. Like, that always has stuck out to me, like, about him. So anyway, long story short, he ended up being single, and we kind of became friends, hung out in the same group of friends, and it was kind of immediate of like we knew we liked each other, but the timing was kind of off. So it was like this like restraint of like, let's wait till this is a better time. But we just kind of became friends, and long story short, he ended up taking me to a rodeo for our first date.
That was your first
Dude,
date.
oh my
there he
gosh.
I just told our love story from
Oh
my
my gosh.
perspective.
This is so
Wow,
legendary.
this is so great.
Let's go. This is, oh God.
Is it rolling
What an
right now?
idea.
Dude, we're rolling.
Oh,
What do you mean?
We're deep in this thing.
So I just asked her how you guys met, and
Yeah.
she was like,
my
"Bro, he was like always trying to like holler at me and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and I kept
Yes.
having to like fend
He was
him
obsessed
off."
with me.
And whatever.
Dang. And I finally landed it.
You finally landed it.
Yeah.
No, she was just at the part where you guys kind of started hanging, and you took her to a rodeo for.
Yeah.
Hold on, we gotta get you
Get
down.
it right.
You took her to a rodeo for your first date. That's
Yeah.
legendary.
Yeah.
It is.
What?
Looking back, is that W Riz?
It is, yeah.
What's W?
What that means, whatever that means,
It
it's
is that.
100% WRiz.
No,
www.com.
WRiz is like you got game.
www.com.
Oh, yeah.
So funny.
Well, it was either a rodeo or ice cream.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Those were the
and neither of us like ice cream, so I don't know why
Oh,
we.
why
so
would
we
we
just-
ever-
Like a country girl, or like were you like a country?
Yeah, she was giving out country vibes. I think it was the
No.
camo pants. I was
Surely
like, oh, she's
not.
gonna love
It was
this.
the big
Right.
hats.
Yeah, the big
They
hats.
gonna love it.
What?
It was wild though. I mean, even if you're not taking a girl on a date, I think
should still go
Just
to
rodeos are crazy.
Like, we were on the edge of our seat thinking people were about to die, get trampled
Well, yeah, I
by
mean,
literal
people
bulls.
do die.
Yeah, there's like
It was
8-year-olds like
crazy.
riding like little sheep, and it's like
Getting
that's like your
literally
intermission. You're just
demolished.
like, what in the world?
And we're trying to like get to know each other, but also be like,
Like,
is that
so,
person okay?
what's your favorite color? Oh crap, is he okay?
Yeah.
Like,
Gosh, you just got stopped.
yeah,
It was kind of game over from there, though. Like
Really?
yeah.
Like, that
and
was
we
just
have such
sealed the
different
deal.
backgrounds, like different stories, like raised differently. But so it didn't make sense why we really hit it off so well.
Right.
But from that point on, we like hung out every single day and like became literal besties.
Yeah.
Besties.
Dang,
We still
that's
are.
crazy.
And I feel like on the drive there, I told her, I was like, hey, I just want to be up front. Like, I want to be your friend and like be intentional friendship, but like I'm into you. So it's just like,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
just like, we're like clear at the front, and then we just like approached it with friendship, and then turned into a relationship, and then
Here we are.
got married.
How long have you
Here we
guys
are.
been married?
2 years and probably like 7 months or something.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
7 or 8
I thought we were going on 7-8 years.
It
at-
feels
at
like
least.
it. Sometimes it feels like one day, and sometimes it feels like 1,000 days.
Wait, so Tiff, what's like your advice to like the girls out there that want to find like a W man's like mate? Like, what's what's your advice to them? Like, how do you pull absolute baddie like mate?
A baddie. When I tell you, I asked that question, I'm sitting across the dinner table from him and I'm like, how did I get him? Like, I don't get how I got him. He's so cute.
The same way.
He's so like, I'm like,
Pause for a dramatic effect.
I'm like, I don't have an answer of like how. It was the kindness of literal Jesus to say, here you go. This is this
You need that
perfect
Jesus
man.
That's not
Riz.
really good advice, though.
Yeah, what's your advice?
Well,
What's your W rating?
What's your
God,
advice?
that's why we have Tori on the pod. This is legendary.
if you have a desire to be in a relationship, like I think there's a level of like, of course you bring it to God. Of course you pray, bring the right God to me. But there's also like, you also have to have a little game, right? Am I wrong?
Right.
Like, it's okay to like.
What's the game?
You gotta have W Riz.
What games are you playing?
Like, I think it was like, let's be around each other. Let's be flirty. Let's, like, let me show you that I'm into it.
Listen. I will say, guys, this is so fun. I feel like I was there for all these big moments. I was there. Listen, I was there the day that you asked her to go to the rodeo.
Wait,
because
so
I was
Tori,
visiting
do you think
Charlotte.
May had W Riz?
Well, listen.
No.
The thing is,
Not them.
She's like, no.
Listen. The thing is that Tiff and I were going to this like waterfall thing. We passed this restaurant that she was like, oh my goodness, my friend Mate loves that restaurant. We passed it, and then she was like,
Oh, you're
we
right.
need to go back. We need to go get that food. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So we go back. She takes a picture of our food, and she's like, I bet you anything, if I post this on my story, Mate will respond.
What?
It was like,
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
So
the Riz
literally,
right there.
I saw
W
the.
Riz.
It was,
like not even
story
5
Riz.
minutes later.
it was two
Yep.
close friends, and I
and me
saw
and
it.
Tiff were both like,
And I turned. I was with.
Close friends Riz.
Yeah.
Close friend.
Literally, I
Wow.
was with my buddy Colton, and I turned to him. I was like, "Bro, there's no way she posted this, and she doesn't want me to respond."
Yeah, it was both ways.
My
Yep.
God.
And you did.
she's
You
like,
said,
this is Mate's favorite restaurant. I have to post about
and
it.
you said something
I
like,
said, I said,
why
oh,
didn't you
dang,
invite
no
me?
invite or something like that. And then
Yeah.
you were like,
Okay.
you never asked to hang out. And I was like, well, what are you doing tomorrow?
Dang.
So she
What are
said,
you
she
doing tomorrow?
threw up.
There's a rodeo in town.
There's a rodeo. I heard there's a rodeo around the corner.
But honestly, I really do admire when you like somebody. Boys, please listen. When you like somebody,
Turn boys
be
into
bold.
men.
Walk up to their face in person. Say, I think you're beautiful, and I would love to get to know you more. Can I please take you out? Respect.
But that's
Like,
W Riz.
W Riz.
Please do.
Riz.
Which ours
Or
was
just
over.
respond to a close friend's
Right.
Instagram story.
Ours was
But
over
that only works
DMs.
if you're mate.
Yeah.
You have to be like absolutely
Right.
jacked. And, like,
That's what I'm
6
saying.
foot
Mate
nine.
was like,
6'3", 215.
I was like, a DM, I'm still open because I liked him. But please go up to them in person. Be bold. Make them feel like $1 million and
Yeah.
like treat them. I don't know. I would say back
them
in the
like
day,
a
I would have
queen.
said yes to somebody that I didn't like just because they had the courage and the boldness to ask in such a
do it.
respectable way. Anyway, that's my advice to the boys.
Wow, that's great insight, man.
Do you feel like inspired?
I do. I feel like I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna
You go
boldly
just-
approach.
Just straight after this, just
Straight
walk
after
up to her, say it to her face. I think you're
Can we
beautiful.
capture that
Yeah.
for the pod, though?
Yeah. We'll make sure the cameras
Wait,
are rolling. I just get denied.
Wait. All right. So impromptu question: if a girl has you on the close friends, like, are you in there, or like do you put like? I feel like you are, but like
Ooh,
from your
good
perspective.
question.
That's a good question.
I mean, yeah, maybe she has a little bit of, she wants you to be
There's
in there.
intentionality there.
She wants you
Yeah.
to see like what she's cooking for dinner.
Yeah, I feel like if you're not on the close friends, like don't slide. Like if
Right.
she's interested, you'd be on the close friends.
Right.
Although,
Wait,
I
that is
agree,
not
but does
always-
everybody have close friends?
Yeah, it's
Because what if it's like they don't have close friends and they're posting normal stories thinking that that's working?
That
Just
is
send them
their
like a
close
letter
friends.
then, like handwritten. Like
honestly a handwritten letter.
But I
think
have a
always
love
works.
hate.
it's kind of W.
I have a love-hate relationship with our current culture of like reacting to someone's story is lame to me.
Oh,
Don't
really?
react
That's
to
what
their
you did,
stories.
I think that's the modern
It was a
day.
DM, but
You
I
got-
don't.
the
I'm saying
times
I
have
don't like
changed.
it. I like a bold like.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell me your intentions.
Right.
Which maybe I'm an old soul, but I like that.
But then
Because-
also like he pulled you off the story, Riz. So
Yeah,
I feel like we're
there's
getting
something
conflicting.
there,
like
so-
The thing is, we were
There's like a
kind of
maybe-
friends in
You
person
have
at
your
that
preference,
point.
but you're also like, well,
Right.
This is what happened.
Right.
It can happen in all
Slides
the
on
ways.
you like you're not gonna say that.
That's the thing. I'm like, I would.
Right.
We've talked about it. I would have preferred if you would have
Right.
said this something to me
Yeah.
in person.
get destroyed, mate.
There's still time.
It sucks.
But he
Whenever
benches
you-
225. So
Whenever you took exactly. Whenever
Is
he
that
took me out.
225?
He's like, bro, that's an insult.
Come on.
wait, what did you bench at the
won
bench
the bench
competition?
That's
competition.
355.
355. Put some respect on his name.
If we're recording,
Right.
I was joking about the 225, but yeah, this guy's a moose. You can tell.
but that happened like multiple times in our relationship because even when I proposed, you were like, I was like, I had this whole setup with like flowers and
Yeah.
candles and you were like,
I would love how you propose.
oh, but you were like, but after the fact,
no.
you were like, oh, I kind of every time we see somebody who does that, you're like, oh, I kind of like that. Like, I wish you would have done something like that. I'm like, dang it.
Yo, that's crazy.
But you do enjoy our proposal. Just for the camera.
Well, you know what? The sweetest thing, I did not know this. He kept the ticket from our rodeo the first day we ever went on. That night, I had no idea. That night, he wrote on the back of the ticket, "Tonight, I met the girl I'm going to marry." And when he proposed to me, he gave me that ticket.
W-Riz.
That's W freaking Riz, whatever that means.
Whatever that means.
And I was like,
somebody Google that. We got to figure out.
She's like cursing.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
You kept this? Like, so anyway.
Dude, that's insane. So day one, none of this was planned, by the way, at all. To have Nate on here and ask all these relationship questions. Do you have a meeting?
I have a meeting in 5 minutes, but we're good.
But you knew day one. You were like, "That's who."
No. He was just trying to set it up just in case.
Just in case.
I said, you know what?
Play later,
If it works out, this is going to be a great story.
That is so
No,
funny.
I mean, there definitely was a point where because I said, I wrote on it, when I looked into your eyes tonight, I knew I wanted to marry you.
Yeah.
And there was a point where I remember we were sitting there and it was like the flashing lights of the rodeo and the sound. And I was just like,
it's a really romantic
and
atmosphere.
she was like telling me about like her grandma who like makes like rings out of spoons. And she was just like going in and I was just like, dang.
It's not W-Riz.
Yeah, I was like, oh, well, I mean, that's cool.
It worked out.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I was like, it was like the sparkle in her eyes, same sparkle she still has. And I was like,
Wow.
I think I want to marry her.
Wow.
And then it was like, but I don't know if she was into me that much. So I was like, I'll keep the ticket. And if it works, it's going to be a really good story.
Yeah.
But I was so nervous because I gave her the ticket right before I proposed, right after I like smacked my head on this like gazebo. And
he was space cadet.
I was just
big
like,
time.
No way.
I took her down this path and like walked over this gazebo and like through the side and hit my head. And then I was like, I handed it to her.
It was pretty clunky, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, that was El Riz, yeah.
El
But hey,
Riz.
I bodied that. I said, "Dome," and I said, "I gotta keep going." I think I have a concussion.
That's what happens when you bench 355.
Yes. Don't phase you.
Crazy.
That's so funny.
That's legendary. Well, thanks for hopping on.
Yeah,
Dude, get out of here,
Get
man.
to
What
the
are you
meeting,
doing?
baby. Love you, bro.
Later.
What's your morning routine? Like workout, coffee, Bible study, IG,
Anything coming out of that
meetings?
whole bit was
I
a
love
hard
it
topic
so
switch.
much. Okay. Wake up. First thing I do is I make my coffee and then
Blueberry or no?
well, I'm on to the new latte.
Oh, okay.
I do latte now.
Had to clarify.
Blueberry latte.
Sometimes. And then I read my Bible and I journal. That's like my favorite way to start the day. And if you ask me, in the past 2 weeks, I have worked out in the mornings.
Oh.
But that's I'm not trying to gas myself up. That's literally 2 weeks in from months of not working out. So
Got it.
that's like, if I'm feeling good, I'll do that. And then, work, and that's the vibe.
What does your Bible time look like, though? What do you do?
I'm reading Isaiah right now. And I'm just, I don't know. Isaiah's a crazy book. I'm like asking the Lord to speak to me through it because I'm like, what's happening here?
What is happening?
Kind of felt like I was supposed to kind of go back through like the minor prophets and Isaiah and Jeremiah because that's the part of my Bible that stick together, like the pages stick together because I don't read it.
Right.
Because I honestly don't understand it. It doesn't move me. It's like,
Right.
God's going to destroy your city. And I'm like, I don't know.
Sick.
It's just hard to read. Yeah, sick. So I'm going back through there and just like trying to get a better like scope of what was happening and what God was trying to speak. So
I love that.
If there's something that you could tell your teenage self, what would it be?
I just think like to fall in love with Jesus and not what you do for Jesus is really huge because what you do for him is going to change. It'll change for me. It'll change for all of us. But if you love him and you're grounded in that, like come or go what may, and you're set. Like you're not like washed back and forth by, the disappointments or the opportunities. Like it's just like you're consistent in your love for the Lord and nothing else could sway you. That's what I would
amazing.
say.
Beautiful.
Going back to like writing and stuff. Also, we haven't even talked about Can You Imagine?
Oh, yeah.
And your song on that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That
Fire song.
literally.
It's so good.
My goodness. I'm not really like a crier,
Yeah.
but dude, that one
Did it
got
get you?
me.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Because like,
Me too.
it just makes you reflect over your life and
Yes.
like, holy cow. Like,
It's such a beautiful song. Like, we weren't planning to record it. It was kind of like a last minute. We learned it pretty much the morning of.
dang.
And I remember they had sent me the demo to like, hey, we're just going to try this tomorrow morning, just learn it. And I was in my car listening to that demo, their writing demo, and God met me in my car. Like, I couldn't drive. I was so encountered by the goodness and the faithfulness of God. Like, I genuinely had to like pull over.
Yeah.
Because it just moved me so much. And I just honor them who wrote it, like Pastor and Chandler and Brandon. Like, what a beautiful, beautiful thing to sing. So when it comes to leading a song like that, easy to lead that. It's not hard to sing about the goodness and the faithfulness of God. It's like, I was so instantly connected to what we were saying. And it was just such a sweet night because I felt like I didn't even know it that well enough to like lead it well and to like plan how to like strategically make a moment. Like I couldn't, I barely knew the song, but like the way that the goodness of God just like rested in the room on that night, it was such an honor to get to sing it.
That song is ruined for me because you know what happened during that song.
And I
My
had no
girlfriend
idea.
passed out at like right when that
During
song
that
started.
song.
She just completely like collapsed.
I
And then
had no idea.
No, that's crazy because like I felt so bad because that whole side of the room just all turns and looks
Yeah.
at her, and I was like, bro, we got to get her out of here. Like it's gonna distract from the moment because I knew she was gonna be fine.
Right.
But it was like I felt so bad, bro. I was like, everyone was like trying to like grab her right there. I was like, bro, we got to get her out of here. And then I had to leave, so I didn't even get to hear the rest of that song.
Dang.
I was kind of pissed. I was like sitting there. I was like, bro, I should go back in and listen to this song.
No, literally afterwards I had heard that happened. I was like, what?
You didn't even see it.
Oh,
Bro.
I was lost in the sauce.
I was on the other side of the room
You didn't notice?
and I didn't even see it, bro.
I felt, dude, it was so annoying because everyone was just like staring at her. No, as annoying how people were staring at her. And
Yeah,
I
you're
was
like, it's good. We're good.
I was like,
y'all
we're
just.
good, bro. Just like focus on the song.
Oh
In fact, we ruined
gosh.
that.
I felt like where I
Did you
was
have
sitting
to carry
too.
her out, or did she like instantly become conscious?
No, I had to catch her, and then I don't know. She woke back up, and then we kind of.
But everybody in my section, because I was in the back, had their hand. They were still worshiping, but their
Praying.
hand was to the left. They were like,
That's a generous way to put it because I feel like everyone was like,
You know what I heard also is someone else told me that they passed out during that song as well.
No way.
And I'm
maybe
like,
it was the
maybe it's the
Spirit
Holy
of the
Ghost.
Lord.
Just
Right.
like,
the weird thing is we grew up Pentecostal, so
Right.
our church would not have flinched. We'd been like, oh, they're fine.
Right.
Just let them
Just
stay
right.
in the glory.
Right.
Stay in the glory of the Lord.
there's like
in the glory, baby.
it's like they're in the glory.
But no, that I'm sad that happened. 'Cause
No, it's fine.
Glad
She's
she's okay.
fine. Yeah, but
So
yeah.
funny. She's
crazy.
fine.
I just wish I
Health
would
is
have been
fine.
in the room during that song. That was
Yeah,
the one I was the most
legendary
excited
for
for.
legendary.
Who's your favorite person you've ever written with?
Oh, that's such a hard question. There's so many people here I absolutely love writing with. Like Pastor, Chris, like you can't get better than them. People I mesh really well with writing would be like Mitch, Josh, David, and I have obviously like written together for years, so there's a lot of chemistry there.
Right.
There's a lot of people, I feel like.
Okay.
Sorry.
Who's like? Have you ever met anyone that you've been like starstruck by?
Yeah, I mean, I still internally I still feel like I'm a 16-year-old girl that's like accidentally getting to like be here and do all these things, and if someone finds out, I'll like you know, like I feel like I can't actually be possible that I'm here and get to do what I get to do. So of course there's people I've met that I've looked up to my entire life that I'm like very much like, oh my gosh, how could I possibly be in the same room?
Right.
I remember when Carrie Job came to Elevation, I was like, ugh. Like I listened to her for years and years and years, and just getting to meet people and being so encouraged that like they're just the real deal and like they love the Lord and they never signed up to like for the popularity. And they're
Do you
just
remember like
real.
your first conversation with her? Was it like awkward?
I was awkward for sure.
What was
I
it?
was
How
like,
did it go down? Like,
I just wanted to make sure they knew how much they meant to me. So I was
Right.
like, I just want to tell you that, you know, this song you sing impacted me so much. Like, I never want to miss that moment of like, I need to tell them they've like made a difference in someone's life. But I just fumbled my way through it. And she was like on her way to the bathroom. And I was like, this is the worst time ever. So it could have been better, but it's fine.
do you ever get that from like people that say like, oh, like the song, like to you, like the same thing you said to her?
Yeah, actually, it's such a bizarre feeling of like either getting a message or meeting somebody that's like, I mean, I got a message from someone saying they literally were like suicidal and decided to play one of the songs and literally, and it's the Lord, but like literally felt
That's
like
nuts.
the Lord through that song like helped lift them up out of this pit. And that's the type of thing you hear that's like, oh, the weight of what we do.
Yeah.
Like, it's wild. Like, it's the way that the Lord can use things, and through music and through song, like, you just never really understand what he's going to do. So hearing that is like so humbling, for sure.
Before we wrap up, you have anything you want to plug coming out? I mean, obviously we got the album coming. You got the single out now. Yeah. Are you going on tour with somebody, or did you already go?
I already did.
You already did?
Yeah.
With Phil Wickham?
Yeah, with Phil.
How was that?
It was wonderful. Like,
That's
truly
crazy.
The most like wholesome thing. We just were up there with guitars and we're just singing our hearts out. Like, it just was beautiful nights of worship.
Dang,
so
that's so
honor
cool.
to them, like what great wholehearted people they are. And it just was really an honor to be a part of.
That's great.
And then, the single is out. I have another single coming out July 9th. And then the album comes out July 21st.
Which is also while you're on the next leg of Elevation Nights.
Yep, the summer run.
So
So
fun.
a lot going on around here, but I'm
so
just
fun.
so grateful, even in advance, to have anybody that would choose to listen to it. Like, it means a lot because, I don't know, people work really hard, and there's nothing solo about doing a solo project. There's been a village of people, an army of people working really hard. And so it means a lot, and I pray that it ministers to you. I pray that it brings you closer to the Lord, and that's all I could ask for.
It's amazing.
Thank you so
Let's
much
go.
for like with all your busy like schedule and everything, making the time.
Literally.
to come
Always.
on
It's
here.
been
It means
so
the world.
fun.
Yeah.
I
had
stand
so
the
much
youth pod. I actually really love
Let's
it.
go.
Heck
Is stand
yeah.
still a word?
Yeah.
I get it can be.
As of
Stop
today,
trying.
yes.
We got the
Wait,
cosign.
also too, we heard, have
yes,
you been playing,
I was wondering
have
if
you
you were
been
going to mention
playing,
this.
what have you been playing video
Oh.
game wise at your house recently?
Mario Kart.
Mario.
We have
we have Mario
Kart
Kart.
set up, and we can go play
Ready.
right now.
I
to
will
end the pod.
literally go right now.
All right,
and
let's
play
do
it.
To end the pod. Are you down?
We have to.
All right,
Let's go. We're running double down.
All right.
I'm so down.
Let's get the vlog cam. All right. bet.
Oh my God.
Wait, so we're still going?
Yeah, we will. But it would be. Wait, which one of these cards is better?
This one?
No, back.
Just it's not.
Oh, it's not on two. You guys, you gotta tell me these.
I know. I just did it.
Oh yeah, I'm second. What you know?
What you know? What you know? Use those mushrooms. Dude, I'm in third place right now.
Well, I
What
didn't care for what you say.
No.
Oh yeah.
I got a star. She's got a star.
Let's
Wait, are we getting the how she's playing right now?
go. Embarrassing. And play y'all, and I will demolish you.
We'll rematch.